Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Spectator Sports. I'm Sebastian Fonseca. As always, please like and subscribe. It takes 2 seconds and it makes a massive difference in the YouTube algorithm. Today's episode, we're going to be covering the conference finals, which just concluded. The Boston Celtics are now moving on to the NBA Finals, defeating the Miami Heat in 7 games, and it was truly a classic series, and I can't wait to break that down for you, everybody. I'm going to be previewing the NBA Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics, and I'm also going to be recapping Real Madrid's epic run to the Champions League title, so stay tuned. Transitioning to Game 6 of the series, Boston had all the momentum from their Game 5 victory down in Miami, and then they had a chance to close out the series in 6 games on their home court. However, Jimmy Butler had plenty to say for it, coming up with 47, 9, and 8, channeling his inner Game 6 LeBron from a decade ago, where LeBron put up 45, 15, and 5, and the mirror images of those two performances are truly remarkable. We could definitely say that this has been Jimmy's best game of his career, similar to LeBron, where his legacy was on the line and he had to come out with a victory to preserve the series and get it to a Game 7, just like Jimmy did on Friday. Miami started off flat to start off the first quarter. They trailed as many as 17 points in the first half. They were giving up easy buckets in transition and turning over the ball left and right. Jimmy had a decent second quarter where he got to the line about 11 times and shot 8 of 11 in the first half, and even totaling 24 first half points. And he actually didn't even take a single rest. He truly left it all out on the line. Got some minimal contributions from Bam Adebayo, but other than those two, the rest of the Miami Heat team really struggled from the field. PJ Tucker finished with 0 points. Kyle Lowry really struggled in the first half, even missing 2 free throws that really had a chance to cut that deficit down. But towards the end of the first half was when Miami made a quick run, 11-2 run, to cut the deficit to 6 going into halftime. And it was right there for the taking, and even into the start of the third quarter, they even cut the deficit to 2 points. However, the Celtics really responded and got the lead back up to double figures quite quickly, and the lead pretty much fluctuated between 7 to about 12 to 13 points for the Celtics from that point onwards. There were many runs back and forth, but the Celtics really had control of the ball game for the most part. It was only up until the last 2.5 minutes when the Miami Heat made a last-ditch attempt to really make this a game. It followed a bunch of Boston miscues, including missed field goals and turnovers. Jaylen Brown had an offensive charge foul on Bam Adebayo. He missed a layup also, and Marcus Smart missed 3 3-pointers and a layup in a row, and I don't know, it just feels like he's a little erratic offensively. He takes way too many 3-pointers. He finished 3 out of 10 today, 8 out of 22 overall shooting. That's just way too many shots. Really better off facilitating and taking fewer shots and getting other people involved, and almost blew the game. And this led to Miami cutting the deficit to 2 points and forcing another miss. They rebound the ball, and I was fine with them not calling a timeout. This is the best defense, the best half-court defense in the league in the Boston Celtics, and to give them a chance to set up their shop and really key in on the matchups was just not a smart idea. I'm 100% behind the Miami Heat's decision not to call a timeout. But Jimmy had the ball and he was running down the court on the right elbow and decided to pull up for a 3-pointer. And a lot of people are going to dissect this play left and right. I've been hearing early on that they really liked the shot. It just definitely was totally short. It just clanked off the front rim, kind of caromed out for a wild rebound, but taken up by Marcus Smart to make the game's final free throws to make it a 4-point game and kind of putting the game on ice there. And I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Jimmy Butler taking threes, no matter how open they are, given the fact that his legs have been failing him as of late. He doesn't have the same type of lift. He's clearly fatigued. He ended up playing the entire game, 48 minutes, and respect to him. And you can say you can live and die by the superstar, your star player taking those big shots and making those decisions, but given the strides of how they were, I mean, he was far better off at least going into the paint and attacking Al Horford, who had a phenomenal game even today, and a recent career rebirth actually, where today he finished with 14 rebounds, a couple big blocks, and he's going to be such a force to be reckoned with in the finals as well. Really key cog in the Celtics machine. And just like that, though, the game was over, and Miami, unfortunately, they came into this series undefeated at home. They won game one, and they dropped the remaining 3 games on their home court, and that's just not going to get the job done. Obviously, they lost the series, but they had opportunities. They just came out flat in a couple games in their home court, and just really proved that they maybe need a little bit more offense outside of Jimmy Butler. So in the off season, I'm sure they're going to try and make some adjustments and see what they can really do. Defensively, they seem fine, and they have the shooters. They just really need to find maybe another piece. And of course, Kyle Lowry being injured for the majority of this postseason didn't really help. He was pretty solid in the regular season when available, and today he started off pitiful from the field to start, but had a really good second half, making his impact known, especially on the defensive end. I think I counted 3 charges that he drew, which were very pivotal. He competed his heart out there, but unfortunately it was just not enough. They didn't get enough contributions from their role players either, so they're gonna probably have to look into whether it's free agency or a trade to see what they can do to get Jimmy Butler a little bit more help, because out east it's just going to get even more competitive with the other teams out there. And now to transition to the Western Conference, where last time I recorded, the Mavericks just staved off elimination to avoid the sweep and send the series back to San Francisco. And for Game 5, it just seemed like they just totally ran out of gas, the Mavericks did. Luka just did not have it from the field. In the first half, he really struggled shooting the ball and had a lot of turnovers. They just didn't seem totally together offensively. Even Steph Curry struggled from the field, but the Warriors' lead was kept thanks to 8 threes made by Klay Thompson, who seems to be finally regaining some of that touch that he was missing for the middle part of this postseason run. So if he's able to reciprocate that in the NBA Finals, it's going to be really dangerous for the Warriors especially. And they made some nice runs in the second half. Even the Mavericks made a chance to cut the deficit to 8 points, but it was, again, too little too late. And they've now booked their 6th trip to the NBA Finals in 8 years. And every year that they've made the postseason under Steve Kerr's regiment, they made the NBA Finals, which I think is a pretty cool feat. The last 2 years, obviously impacted by injuries. They're without Klay Thompson for 2 full years. Draymond has been banged up for the last 3 years, including this season. Steph missed all but 5 games in the 2020 season, and it's just truly remarkable how they were able to come back and get back to the finals when everybody left them for dead when KD left in 2019. And now to preview the NBA Finals, I mean, this is probably going to be a really interesting matchup. I mean, both teams are really keen on the defensive end. They both shoot great outside shots. They're really deep as well, and kind of a throwback too. I mean, these two teams clashed way back when, and this was back when Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell were going back in it. So for my OG basketball fans out there, this is a little bit of a nostalgic series for you guys. This series is going to be really interesting in terms of matchups. I mean, the Warriors are clearly going to be the smaller team. The Celtics have 2 pretty big rebounders in Al Horford and Robert Williams to deploy. And even Daniel Tice coming off the bench, if he gets some minutes, is a really important piece in terms of center play. On the other side, for the Warriors, they've kind of had some rejuvenation thanks to Kevon Looney, who pulled down 18 rebounds in that closeout game against the Mavericks. And him, Wiggins, and it's probably just going to be a collective gang rebound effort to try and keep that rebounding deficit as close as possible. So the front court matchup is going to be pretty important between these two teams, but once the Warriors try to go small, that will definitely cause a little bit of problems for the Celtics. The thing is that they can deploy and match up pretty well. I mean, I would be thinking of putting Marcus Smart on Steph Curry, and then deploying Jaylen Brown onto Klay Thompson, and then Jason Tatum onto Jordan Poole or Andrew Wiggins, depending on the matchup. The thing is, the X factor could be where that power forward could be probably Andrew Wiggins, and then who's that going to be for the Boston Celtics, which I think if they'd elect to go small and put Al Horford at center, they would probably put in Grant Williams. Clearly, Grant would have the strength to guard a guy like Andrew Wiggins, but Andrew Wiggins is a very nimble and quick player, so there's a speed advantage there that could pose some problems for Grant. Both teams have also been impacted by injuries. I mean, Marcus Smart has been banged up this entire postseason and has been a true warrior for the Celtics, and been their heart and soul, setting up everything defensively and orchestrating the offense as well. His health is going to be integral for the Celtics' hope of winning this NBA championship. So his availability, despite the shoulder injury, the hamstring injury, or the ankle injury that he suffered throughout this postseason run, it's going to be a big deal for them. In terms of the coaching matchups, obviously it's going to be favoriting the Warriors with Steve Kerr, again leading the Warriors to 6 NBA Finals appearances and 6 postseason appearances. So his coaching staff is pretty deep, also with guys like Mike Brown and Kenny Atkinson. However, Ime Udoka has been unbelievable this postseason, and even in the regular season as well, after their early mishaps starting off 25-25, but since the calendar year turned, the Celtics have been the best team in basketball record-wise, and they've overcome a lot to get to this point. In this postseason run, they've beaten the most talented duo on paper in Kyrie and KD. They beat the best player in the world, albeit without their second best player in the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then they beat the top overall seed in the Eastern Conference in the Miami Heat, and winning a Game 7 on the road too. And Udoka's adjustments in this series, despite numerous injuries, whether it be to Al Horford missing a game or Marcus Smart being out there, he's made adjustments, and they have yet to lose back-to-back games in this postseason. They're 6-0 coming off a loss, so they're going to be a tough out for the Golden State Warriors, that's for sure. On the other side of it, I do look at the veteran leadership of Draymond, especially proving to be big dividends. Steph's experience, Klay Thompson's experience is going to rub off on guys like Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, who necessarily haven't been in these big moments in their NBA careers. But experience matters, that's for sure. And being in this moment, again, their 6th appearance is going to be a big deal. Of course, Jason Tatum has never shied away from the lights. He's had deep postseason runs, 3 Eastern Conference Finals appearances. Jaylen Brown has been into 4. And they've made, like I said, deep postseason runs, but the finals are a whole different monster altogether. And the Celtics are definitely the younger team. They don't have that kind of experience. This is their coach's first time into this, and he's done phenomenally. But I definitely have to favorite the Warriors in this series. For my prediction, I'm picking the Golden State Warriors to be the 2022 NBA champions in 6 games, and it really comes down to their ability to have that experience, and Steph has been on quite a tear as well. Both teams are, I think, equally as deep, But I think it comes down to also the health factor as well. The Warriors can be also getting back Gary Payton II as well, another very important wing defender to deploy on guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, just to be a little bit of another body to throw at those two players. And like I said, the ability for them to cross match up as well and kind of take advantage of them going small. I think they're obviously the best team in the league going small, and that can pose some problems for the Boston Celtics. So I'm picking the Warriors in 6. And now moving on to the Champions League final, and this is the crown jewel of all soccer tournaments. It is Europe's biggest crown, and it's featuring two of the biggest giants in Europe in Liverpool and Real Madrid. The match started off in big favor of Liverpool. They just kept probing and getting the ball into the final third, creating kind of half chances, and then after about 15 minutes or so, they got some shots on target, forcing Thibaut Courtois to make some pretty epic saves actually. Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah both combined for some really good attempts at the net. But again, the length of Courtois made such a big difference. The guy is 6'7", probably with a wingspan about 7 feet. And that length proved to be such a big factor in this match. So many looks at the net where their strikers just had brilliant opportunities, but the length, just his instincts. Courtois had a brilliant performance, and I think this is one of the best goalkeeping performances that I've ever seen in quite some time, let alone in the Champions League especially, where all the marbles are on the table. Courtois accounted for 9 saves in this match, and that really proved to be the difference in them keeping a clean sheet as well. Their back line for Real ended up getting exposed a couple times. Mohamed Salah got in behind, Sadio Mane got in behind. Even after Luis Diaz got subbed off for Diogo Jota, even he had a couple half chances too, but they were all deterred by the end of the day thanks to Courtois. There was a corner kick that Kanate would have probably gotten his head onto, but it was intercepted by Courtois. And again, when you have somebody this massive coming up to sky against you, and Kanate is no small guy either, I mean, but again, length, size, that really matters, especially being a goalkeeper. And he kept all the receipts. I mean, after leaving Chelsea in 2018, he had a pretty bad start to his Real Madrid career. But since then, he's been quite sound. I wouldn't say he would be the best goalkeeper on the planet in terms of, at least before this match, but in this match especially, I mean, preserving that lead and keeping a clean sheet against this Liverpool attack, it definitely puts him in the conversation with guys like Alisson, Edouard Mendy, Ederson, to name a few. Those are all very talented goalkeepers as well. Towards the end of the first half, Real Madrid actually had a goal that was disallowed thanks to VAR, and it brought up a lot of controversy from fans, and I did a little bit of research into it. I wasn't really the most adept in offside rules, but looking into things, the way it was matched up, where the last Liverpool defender essentially took over as being the goalkeeper position, and then Alisson came up to break up the play, and that line created by the last 2 defenders was still intact. And the problem was that he wasn't in an offside position in terms of that standpoint. The problem was that the ball was played and it was kneed by a Liverpool defender, and it came to Karim Benzema, and that's when the offside rules were reinstated there, and that was because he fielded the ball in an offside position. So given that explanation, the goal being disallowed was fair. I know that's probably not what Real fans wanted to hear at that moment in time, but I guess ball doesn't really lie, because they ended up scoring a goal not so long after half. A brilliant run by Vinicius Jr., who was playing really well in recent form, and especially in this final. He was getting behind guys like Trent Arnold-Alexander and Fabinho and Konate routinely throughout the match. And he caught Trent Arnold-Alexander napping for sure. He seemed to have looked off Vinicius. I saw him look over his shoulder, so I thought he knew where he was, maybe positioned on the field, but definitely wasn't actually totally aware of that, and that proved to be the difference. It was a simple tap and goal after that. Alisson had no chance to try and save that goal. And with a half hour left, there was still plenty of time. I mean, Liverpool had such a talented attack, and they had chances. I remember a beautiful ball set up and a nice first touch by Mohamed Salah to get in goal. Unfortunately, just could not get it around the forearm of Thibaut Courtois, again thwarted by him, and that led to a corner. Nothing really happened after that threat, and that was kind of it for Liverpool. The game was remarkably not the most exciting match. It was again the third straight 1-0 victory for the winning side. Not as many fireworks as what we were used to seeing in the Champions League final, but again, Real Madrid stands tall in Europe, and now they are champions for the 14th time. And it's truly remarkable what this soccer club has done, especially post Ronaldo. They've won 4 with him, but this kind of proves with this same championship cord that they are much more than just Cristiano Ronaldo. In fact, you could possibly say that this team maybe even carried Ronaldo. We can get into that debate a little bit later, but this run in particular proved that Real has such guts. They have a no-quit attitude whatsoever. They started off the group play with a loss, actually, but then they came back and were undefeated in the rest of group play. And in the knockout stages, they trailed the best team in France and then the top 3 teams in England in each stage of the knockout stages. And coming back from 2-0 down to PSG, coming back from a goal down to Chelsea, coming back from 2 goals, pulling out 2 goals from Rodrigo in the final 2 minutes of full time and stoppage time to send the game into extra time in the semi-final leg. Was truly remarkable, and this again shows that this team has so much grit, so much resilience. They're more than just the striker Benzema. They play 90 plus minutes. You have to give them everything you got, and the best thing honestly is to not even allow them to play them. The best thing is honestly just to play them tough throughout and don't get frustrated, don't give them easy chances, because that's when they capitalize. And they made each one of those teams their victims in this run. And Carlo Ancelotti now has won 4 Champions League trophies, one of the most successful managers in recent memory. He's won one on the earlier side of this 5 championship run before the Zidane three-peat from 2016 to 2018, and he won 2 earlier with AC Milan back in the day as well. So he's quite the talented manager, and he's been able to harness that championship pedigree once again with Real after last season in 2021 being a trophyless season. And for Liverpool, I mean, it's not a lost season for sure. I mean, you won 2 cups as well, one being a league title and another one being the FA Cup. Nothing to frown on at all. I mean, they did have an opportunity to be in the quadruple conversation. They finished top 2 in each of those cups. It just wasn't enough. In the Premier League, I mean, their point total would have led to a title in any other season, but the last 2 times that they put up 90 plus points, they lost. Pep City proved to be the thorn in their side once again, but Liverpool will be back. It seems like they're going to be losing Sadio Mane. He's going to be transferring to Bayern Munich. So they're going to be without him, and that's going to allow them to take a step back. But they can probably fill in that hole, I'm sure, on the transfer market quite easily. There's rumors of Lewandowski trying to leave Bayern right now, so maybe that's something that Liverpool could do to fill in that hole. But even so, even with them having Mohamed Salah and the rest of their crew, they should be quite fine for next season. And that's it for this episode of Spectator Sports. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, feel free to comment with your predictions for the NBA Finals or any other topics that I covered in today's episode. And until then, I'll see you next time.